Okay, hello, and welcome to this week's Thursday Tip Bit. And today's slightly different. It is how to spot if you are a people pleaser, because in my experience of the work that I've done, I have realized that there are two different types of people pleaser out there. So number one is the more obvious, the person who comes across as less assertive, probably a bit quieter, very often in a supporting role in life and work, and tends to very obviously not like saying no. Or perhaps, if you recognize this in yourself, even hearing no is a really horrible thing, probably worse than saying no. The other type of people pleaser that you might not have spotted in yourself, but I want to point out and just give you the possibility of being aware, is the people pleaser who is an overachiever. Now, that is a bit of a challenge because it might not seem to yourself or others that you are people pleasing. And I am going live in a couple of places here this morning, as well as recording. So hello and good morning, Alan, who is here joining us live. So if you are an overachiever, that can be a sign of people pleasing as well. If you are always setting really high expectations for yourself that you never quite meet, that you are always going for the next qualification, the next course, the next title. Maybe you sit on lots of boards. I've worked with people pleasers who work at a really high level, directors of companies, well-paid consultants in the finance industry, partner in a medical practice. So doesn't mean just because you are a high achiever doesn't mean that you're not a people pleaser. It can be a part of the pattern of the overachieving, wanting the same thing as the person who is always saying yes and always putting themselves out there, because these patterns come across from an innate void, as something missing. And I'm speaking here as a recovering, I'd say if we're going in cooking terms, a medium rare people pleaser. I'm medium rare, heading towards rare these days. And it's the people pleasing comes into being a problem with communication and with how you live your life, because it's about trying to please everybody. And it comes from a space always in ourselves of trying to fill the void of the attention, the acknowledgement, the appreciation, the not fitting in, or the place we wanted to fit in our childhood, whether that's with family, with a social group, with teachers at school, in our class. And so the people-pleasing tendencies come from desperately trying to get that acknowledgement, that appreciation that we didn't receive in the way that we, or you, wanted to receive it. And this is, we sort of go into the zone of love languages here, right? So where do these patterns come from? They come from not receiving in the way that we like to receive. How does it impact our communication? Well, in a couple of different ways. And there are some things that I've noticed in my work with my clients over the last few years, that the people who've had the biggest changes with me have been perpetual people pleasers, whether they knew it or not. So for some, it is quite obvious. They know they hate saying no, can't abide it, hate hearing no. For others, it's the frustration that builds of not being acknowledged, or not being appreciated, not being seen, not having their achievements acknowledged, so not receiving the praise, not feeling. There's a slight difference between the two. One is about being good. Right? So the first type of people pleaser, you might recognize yourself, is about feeling like you want to be a good person. So you're there helping the world. And the other one is about not being good enough. So it's about achievements and acknowledgement and going, look at everything I've done. Oh no, I'm still not good enough because I'm not receiving the acknowledgement in the way. So I've got someone here live who's just said, I think I've just discovered a people pleaser. I'm a people pleaser. And this is the thing. And other ways that you can recognize this are by what I've put above is the things that you are feeling. So do you often feel exhausted? Like, I keep on giving and giving and giving and no one ever gives me back. Why does no one else help me? Why don't people just say thank you? Why doesn't someone acknowledge what I have done or achieved? I'm clearly not good enough, or I'm clearly not being good enough. Maybe you start to feel frustrated, overwhelmed. A lot of the people I work with, they wait until they're really at the end of their tether, until they're boiling inside with resentment. And this is why I'm asking how to spot if you are a people pleaser, because it's very difficult sometimes, especially with the overachievers, for other people to spot that you're a people pleaser, because you hold it all in. Another common thread between all people pleasers is they hate the idea of letting people down, or feeling that you might have offended or upset someone else by not achieving what you want to achieve, by not giving enough. But underlying that is all this frustration, this tiredness, this sense of resentment that starts to build. But the problem is, and again, this goes with all my lovely people pleasers who I adore, and I love it when they break out of their patterns, is that they don't express that there's a problem to anyone else. They don't ask for what they need. So if this is you, if you are recognizing yourself, like someone, I'm going live on StreamYard, so it doesn't tell me who people are, but someone on Facebook who's just discovered that they might be a people pleaser. One of the biggest things you can do to stop people pleasing, to stop draining yourself, to stop having your diary full, right? Whether you're sitting on boards or committees or doing a ton of volunteer work on top of everything else you do. My chair is sinking, so I am going to raise it. One of the biggest things you can do is recognize your pattern. Go, oh my goodness, I think I might be a people pleaser. And actually, I'm not getting what I need. So start recognizing, where are you not getting what you need? Then start saying no. And this is to yourself and others. I have a lovely client who I adore, who overwhelms herself so much by taking on so many projects and never getting anything done. So, she's not pleasing herself and then feeling like she's not there for everybody else. You can't be there for the whole world. It's just not possible. And you can't please all the people. You can't please all the people, even some of the time. You might be able to please some of the people some of the time, but start putting yourself into your life. Start saying no. And if you want to look at that, I've got other Thursday tidbits on how to say no. And then keep saying no. And this is the challenge, because part of the problem I've noticed over the years with my lovely people who I've worked with is that the ego, the part of our subconscious brain that wants to keep us safe, when we create these people-pleasing patterns, we stay in them, because if we say no and people carry on fine without us, oh, that's just horrific. That's, oh my goodness, no, I said no, and then they're okay without me. So our ego then goes, oh, I was useless all that time. They didn't need me. So the challenge is keep saying no and start noticing, actually, there will be some people who, when you start setting your boundaries and start saying, actually, I'm not available for that, or I need to step down from this committee, that's when people will realize just how much you have been doing. And maybe the appreciation will start coming a little bit more. So recognize your patterns, start saying no in whatever way you say no, and keep saying no. Because otherwise you are keeping yourself, and this chair is decidedly broken, otherwise you'll be keeping yourself in these patterns that are exhausting you. It's a quick way to lead to breakdown, by not saying anything. And again, I've spoken before about not suffering in silence. I've spoken about it, I do talks on it. But when you hold all that stuff inside you, the lack of appreciation, the feeling ignored, the feeling unheard, the feeling unseen, the feeling not good enough or not good enough, all of this stuff. And when you don't express it, when you don't ask for what you need, where do you need help? We spoke about this in the Global Sound Circle last night. This month's theme is examining your independence. Are you overly independent? Are you overly codependent? Do you ask for the help that you need? When you are really and truly in our power, we are able to do or delegate. We are able to ditch. So I invite you to really explore where it is that you are setting those patterns and those boundaries. And that's where the vocal confidence comes in. And again, live thank you to Jodie, who's agreeing with me. So yay. Right. That feeds my people-pleasing requirements. Thank you, Jodie. I think we all have a little element of it. But if it's impacting your life, start learning how to express yourself with more confidence, with more assertiveness. Right? Remember, my type 1 people pleasers come across very often as not assertive, and having that more confidence in yourself and your voice, and saying no assertively doesn't mean aggressively. So I know that those type 1 people pleasers are generally gentler, kinder, lovely people who you don't want to come across as aggressive. Assertive does not mean aggressive. It just means setting your boundaries and setting some standards for you. I'm sure you have really high expectations of yourself. And this is another common thread through both types of people pleasers. You have high expectations of both yourself, and then you put those expectations on others. And then you think, well, no one will ever be able to do it to the standard that I do it. So I have to keep on doing it. I have to be the only one. But if your behaviors and your patterns are draining you, if you find it impossible to say no, if you hate other people saying no to you, then I invite you to start taking some time. And if you want, come and have a private chat with me and to learn how to say no, or go back and look at some of the other videos I've done around this topic, because you are draining yourself. And then when that happens, actually, the people pleasing is in negative, because if you're draining yourself, then you're not going to be the best of yourself for those people who actually do appreciate you, for those people who do acknowledge you, for that project that you want to complete that will feel amazing to you and to other people. So to be the best of yourself, sometimes it really means setting those boundaries for time, and you can't give everything of yourself. Sometimes the pattern comes because we think, well, the more I give of me, then surely at some point someone is going to acknowledge me in the way I need to be acknowledged. But what happens is, and I'm sure that those of you who are people pleasers feel this, is you just feel like a doormat or taken for granted. And that's probably because you keep on giving without expectation or asking for what you need to receive back. And that might be in time, that might be in money, that might be in words, it might be in other people taking something off your shoulders. So learning to ask for what you need and learning to not give all the time. I learned this when I was back as a massage therapist, and I wanted to give some time to a charity. I wanted to do some volunteer work, but giving it for free, the number of times I would turn up and the charity hadn't booked any of their people in to come and see me because it wasn't valued, because I was giving it for free. And so that's when I learned to say no, and I actually stopped doing it. So allow yourself time and space. Give yourself some gift. And I would love to know, thank you so much, those of you who have been watching, listening. Let me know in the comments below the positive things that have happened for you when you have said no sometimes, whether that's to stepping off a committee or setting boundaries or asking someone for help. What are the positive things that have happened? So I would love for you to share that, so that anyone else watching this and reading these comments who might be a people pleaser who's not quite confident enough yet to acknowledge it or to start saying no, I want you to put your comments of the good things that have happened so that they can see that actually saying no, setting boundaries, having that confidence to ask for what you need really does reap rewards. So thank you so much. I will be back in a couple of weeks with another Thursday Titbit, and next Wednesday with my midweek mindset. If you have any questions for me, please put them in the comments, or obviously drop me a PM if you would rather not have the world see it. And if you want some personal help, then reach out and let's see what we can do. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.